we can start the meeting now. We'll talk about this at the end of the meeting. Okay?
Gotcha.
We got all 5 of us. Good evening, everyone. I would like to bring the regular board meeting of October 21st, 2020 of the Morongo Valley CSD to order. I think most of you who have been on before know that either there'll be a time at the in between the items that are on the agenda for you to speak if you want to speak on that item, or there will also be time at the end of the meeting for you to speak. So stay plugged in so that we can hear what you have to say. Call to order. I can do that. You want to do that, Jim? Chief Brakebill?
Okay.
Okay.
Roll call.
Yeah.
Dale Swartz,
Here.
Christina Brook,
Here.
Matthew Campos,
Here.
Lori Klimowitz,
Lori, your speaker's off.
Lori
Sorry about that.
Klimowitz.
I'm so used to being muted on other meetings. Here.
Okay.
Okay.
And Johnny Tolbert.
Here.
All right. All
Okay.
present and accounted for.
Thank you. Please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the
flag of the United States of America
Public.
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
I think we're actually doing better. I think each time we do the Pledge of Allegiance, we're getting more coordinated. Approval of the agenda. There's one change I would like to make, and it's in continued business. Number 2, the Covington Park closure. It doesn't have that it's an action item, and I know we're going to be discussing the Halloween event, but there's no way we can do it if the board thinks it's a good thing to do if we don't open Covington Park at this time. So I would like to change Covington Park closure to an agenda item. Is that okay with everybody?
To an
Board
action item?
members?
That's
You want
fine.
to change the action? You want to change the action item?
Yeah, I want to make it an action item just in case we decide to change and open the park.
Because what I was gonna say is we should move that to 1 and Halloween to 2, because we have to do something with the park first.
Well, I think we should listen to what is planned for at the park first before we make the decision whether we're going to open it or not. That's my feeling on it. Anybody
Okay.
else want to weigh in on that? Okay, we're going to make that an action item. That everything else, any other changes to the agenda? Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
As amended, so moved. I'll second.
Matthew and Johnny. Okay, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, all right. Next. The sheriff's report, I don't believe we have a sheriff on board tonight. Director of Operations report, Mr. Brakebill, Chief Brakebill, are you gonna take care of that tonight?
I can take care of that.
Thank you.
All right. I want to talk about a couple of the wildfires we've been on. The first one is El Dorado fire. During the month of September, due to the statewide wildland fire emergency, Morongo Valley Fire Department once again answered the call to the state of California to assist with our resources to aid the state in battling the many wildfires throughout our great state. Water Tender 461 was deployed as an immediate need to the El Dorado fire burning in the San Bernardino Mountains near Yucaipa, where they were assigned to many different roles ranging from supplementing direct attack operations to assisting with structure protection in Forest Falls and Angeles Oaks. The crew on Water Tender 461 worked 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on this incident for 10 straight days. During the same time, we actually covered the Yucca Valley Cal Fire Station to make sure that all of the SRA land was protected. This was in support of the state's mission. We have a very close working relationship with CAL FIRE and rely on them for mutual responses, just as they rely on us to cover areas during these types of emergencies. While on assignment for the state, Brush Engine 461 responds to fires throughout the Morongo Basin with the potential to be dispatched anywhere in the state. In their 3 weeks covering CAL FIRE Station 14, which is in Yucca Valley, our brush engine responded to multiple fires in Joshua Tree, 29 Palms, Morongo Valley, and the Lucerne and Johnson Valley areas. I do want to touch a little bit about the SDRMA credit incentive program. Every year, the Morongo Valley CSD and Fire Department participate in the SDRMA's credit incentive program. So far this year, we've already saved 1,362 in CIP points for property liability and $831 in CIP points for workers' comp. That's a total of $2,193 as of the end of September. We will be implementing this program throughout the rest of the year, as our focus is still safety first, last, and always. I did receive a letter of appreciation from a young man that lived in Idaho that the Morongo Valley Fire Department has touched his family. And he says, my name is Caleb Kelly, and I am a sophomore vice president at Skyline High School in Idaho Falls, Idaho. I appreciate your selfless sacrifice as you and your team put your lives on the line to fight fires and save lives. I admire your bravery and dedication. It takes someone very special to be a hero. I may be all the way in Idaho, but I'm touched by the example that your small fire department sets as others to follow. Words can't begin to describe my appreciation for all that you do. Thank you for performing these selfless acts day in and day out. You are truly amazing people. Your Morongo Valley area should be proud of you. Your families are important to us too, and we admire their sacrifice to let them fight fires. Your job is not easy, and I applaud your dedication to putting in long, hard hours. Your efforts are not going unnoticed. Thank you so much for being a true hero to us, to our families, and the visitors in your area. Sincerely, Caleb Kelly. So that was sent to
Very
us.
nice.
Very
Very
nice.
nice.
And then I just want to touch upon the training, and then that'll conclude my report. The Morongo
Yep.
Valley Fire Department continuously trains to maintain the skill sets that they learned in the Fire Academy. I'll start with the call volumes. So this past month, we had a total of 45 calls for service. 27 of them were emergency medical service calls. 22 of them required paramedics or ALS. 5 of those calls required basic life support. We had 3 fires this reporting period, 1 structure fire and 2 vehicle fires. We had a total of 3 traffic collisions. 2 involved serious injury and 1 was a non-injury accident. We had 1 hazmat call, and we had 4 calls that we were toned out on and then canceled. And then we had 4 calls for public assist. For the sake of time, I'm just going to tell you that we've had a total of 188 hours consisting of medical training, physical fitness training, and then firefighter 1 and 2 training for a total of 188 man hours. That's all I have. Does the board have any questions?
Jim, do you have any, Chief Brakebill, do you have any information on the 2 vehicle accidents that were injury? Where they were and what it was about?
Perhaps Bob Springer is on the call. He might. I'm not at the station.
Okay,
But I know that they were 2 accidents that involved injuries. I don't
Okay.
think any of them needed any extrication. They were just injuries, and they were transported, then the patients were released. So it may not have been that serious.
Okay.
They were released the same day. But
Okay.
I did have a note here. The primary factor for those collisions were excessive speed.
Do I have a motion? Does anyone else have a question for Chief Brakebill?
Chief
Do I have a
Brakebill, those accidents were actually on the grade, Morongo grade with Riverside County.
That was Bob Springer. Did you hear that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they were
Thanks,
on,
Bob.
they were on the grade. Thanks, Bob. I appreciate your help.
Do any of the board members have any questions, more questions? Okay, do I have a motion to approve?
I
Fire
move that
report.
we accept the Director of Operations report presented by Chief Brakebill.
Second.
Is there a set? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, next. Risk Management and Public Relations Ad Hoc Committee. Is there anything there tonight?
No, nothing new.
Okay. I think COVID has kind of slowed us down on a lot of things, so.
Yeah, think?
Fire apparatus driving parameters, we're not even looking at that now because of the strike teams and everything else we've had to do. We don't need to look at that, I don't think, unless one of the other board members would like to make
No,
a
thank
comment on that.
I have nothing.
Okay.
No, thank you.
And the Morongo Valley Community Services District and Fire Department Funding Ad Hoc Committee. I know that we are going to be getting in some OES money, and we're hoping that in the near future, because we're getting this money in from OES, it will free up some money to put to use in the park. So I've been talking to Chief Yearsley about that, and hopefully maybe next month we can start coming up with, as soon as we get the money in, we can start seeing what things we need to get for the fire department and see what money in the regular budget could be freed up for things at the park, you know, for playground equipment. So that's all I have to say. The consent calendar. Minutes of the regular board meeting. Does anybody have any changes or?
I just
Or,
saw one thing.
Okay,
On page 4 of 4, when I was doing my report, I said I was very impressed with the commendations that were coming in from, around the state. Not accommodations, but commendations.
yes,
COMMENDATIONS. I didn't want them to think
Okay.
that we were getting some kind of accommodation. So it's
Okay.
a commendation, COMMENDATION.
Okay.
That's the only
Anybody
thing I
else
saw.
got anything? Okay, do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
I move we approve the minutes with the one correction.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Cash check disbursements and credit card purchases for September at $114,489.50. Does anyone have, I think part of that money, as I looked through the paperwork, is money that we had to pay out to our fire personnel on strike teams. We will be reimbursed for some of that, but we have to wait till the state brings that to us. But we have to pay them when their pay period comes up.
I have a question on the
Sure.
this person over 5,000.
Oh, okay. What I'm trying to remember what that was for. What was that for, Johnny?
The 34,000.
Yeah.
That's the money for the Yermo grant. My
Oh.
question is
Go
very
ahead.
simple. Reading the notes we have on here, it says back on September 2nd, we started having research in this for the discrepancies OTS grant. Are all these discrepancies taken care of? Do we have the money straight between us and Yermo and the federal government?
It's
I
not
think
really
everything's,
government, it's a state grant.
I think, I know that Chief Yearsley told me they are working on figuring it out. We do not owe any money. And some of the paperwork still has to be taken care of, but we're not in any jeopardy with the state.
Okay, but why is it it was submitted September 2nd. We're on October 21st. We have no answers. What's going on?
Well,
We're
I'm
playing with
I'm sure-
$34,000. I need to know, where is it going? Where hasn't it gone? What's going on with $34,000 of our taxpayer dollars?
you're not going to know it tonight because Mr. Yearsley is not on board. He's on vacation. And as soon as he gets back, we'll have that on the agenda for the next meeting.
Okay.
Are there any other?
Chief no, excuse me, Chief Breakbill?
Yes, Johnny, go ahead.
You're working instead, correct?
I'm working the when?
Are you working in Chief Yearsley's stead right now?
Yes.
Did he leave you any information on this before he went on
No,
vacation?
no, he has not. And I can tell you, Yermo has not received the check for $34,498.69.
Yeah, we need to get this taken care of like immediately. We should not be playing with taxpayer dollars. Right now,
It's
we
not
got 30
taxpayer dollars. This is grant
Excuse
money.
me, this is taxpayer dollars.
It's
This is
grant
money we're
money.
sending. This money we're sending to Yermo off a grant that we spent money on. This is still taxpayer dollars. We need to get this
Johnny,
straightened out.
Johnny, when Mr. Yearsley gets back from his vacation, he will take care of it. And it's not anything that's totally urgent that we owe somebody money or that we're not going to get the money. It's just figuring out the paperwork and where everything is at. So as soon as he gets back, he will take care of that. Are there any other questions on the disbursements and credit card purchases? Do I have a motion to approve? I move we approve the cash check disbursements and credit card purchases for September. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
I,
Aye.
Is that unanimous? Did you say aye, Johnny?
Yes, I did.
Okay, all right, thank you. Okay, now we're to the, I would like to ask before we get into this, there's an older person that would like to be able to give their comments now. And I'm going to ask the board, can we go ahead and get this person's comments or do you want to wait till the end of the meeting?
You can go now as
Okay
far
with
as I'm
me.
concerned.
that's fine.
I have no problem with that. Let him go.
Fine with me?
Okay. Okay, so I believe that Estelle Foster is on the line. Is that true?
It is true.
Okay. So you give us your comments.
Well, how old am I?
Well,
No,
I'm
you-
older than you, so you don't have to worry about it.
Okay then. So first of all, I just want to say howdy and hello to all the interested and involved participating Morongo. You're so great. I'm so proud that you're my neighbors and friends. I have really gotten involved a bit with the fire department, the terrific firefighters, I call it the little fire department that could,
My headphones.
because they're small and I know they need a lot more, including a few more firefighters in order to be able to protect and preserve the environment here. But I've gotten involved with them to see what they needed. And, you know, they go out on the fires for 8 days at a time and then come back hungry and tired. And they don't have sufficient room, I understand, to store food. And their budgets and personal income is limited. So I asked them how they would feel about having a commercial freezer. And I could hear the hoops and hollers of, yes, we do. And so I went forward and wrote a letter to Home Depot, and it was in conjunction with Debbie Harris of the Firefighters Auxiliary. She hand delivered the letter. It was sent to corporate. And are y'all sitting down? This was one of the largest gifts they've ever given. It was almost a $5,000 commercial freezer. So thank you so much, Home Depot, and I'm so grateful and I know we all are, to be able to support the fire department. In fact, I feel that from the people I've spoken with here in Morongo, and that's why I'm so enthused, everyone wants the best Morongo Valley that it can be. And that's where I am. And to that point, I just want to make a comment. And that is that I notice that there are some critics, and good for them to be able to notice things, have constructive criticism. I just want to also say that with constructive criticism, respectful and civil, that there comes a responsibility. So I'm encouraging all of us, instead of, throwing something at the board, the hard-working, gorgeous board that we have, amazing board, that we say, what can we do to help? What do you need from me? How can I support you? That is a responsibility that comes with a criticism. So I'm just mentioning that. I very much care about Morongo Valley and all of you and all of us. So stay well, please vote, please wear your mask, and love and blessings to all. And thank you for allowing me this time.
Thank you, Estelle. And thank you so much for working to get that freezer. Now all we have to do is get some food to fill it up. And I'm sure people in Morongo Valley will be happy to help fill the freezer.
Thank you. Thank you all. And just, yeah, that was all.
Okay, thanks, Estelle.
Thank you, Estelle.
Okay, continued business. Halloween trunk or treat. Christina Gorky, this is your time
Hi,
to
everybody.
explain.
So yeah, I've been working with some of the families in the community to create some kind of an experience that the families can have this year that's COVID safe and following within the state guidelines. But of course, the first issue that we have is the fact that currently the official status is that the Covington Park is closed, even though it's probably seen more activity in the last 6 months than it has in so many years before, because people are limited on what they can do. So yeah, the California actually reopened recreational hiking trails and camping areas back in June. It's been one of the only activities that hasn't since been shut down again, just like Riverside's changing their tiers. Hiking trails have been permitted to be open since June. And then just at the end of September, after the last board meeting, there was guidance put out that under all tiers, playground equipment can be opened. They have recommended flyers to post, but essentially saying that, outdoor playground equipment can be open. They recommend putting up some guidance on that so that people are distancing and cohorts are staying together and things like that. The same with the signage for trails, just like the Morongo Preserves set up. They have one-way markers so that to keep people kind of organized when they're walking on those trails. So what my hope was, I don't know if many people are familiar with it, but there is a small walking trail that connects the baseball field and it kind of drops out over by the tennis courts. It's a small, if there were more than a couple people going in different directions, it'd probably be best to have one-way signage on there because it is a very small trail. But what I wanted to do was create a Halloween themed art walk. And basically the families in the area have been creating their own Halloween themed totems that we'd like to set up along that trail that connects the baseball field and the tennis courts. We'd be able to put up signage so that people know where to start from and where to exit from. It's completely contactless. There's no gates that have to be opened or things that need to be touched in order to walk through the walking trail. Completely outdoors, as far as state guidance and things like that, everything's safe for activities. And I feel like for the well-being of, the community, being outdoors is something that everyone should be doing right now. So I was really hoping that the board would reconsider closing or keeping the park closed and opening the park. And then regardless on if we get permission to set up the totems and coordinate that, I still feel like the park should be opened officially. So there's that. And then of course, with setting up the totems and potentially having a candy distribution on Halloween, I was in contact with Buddy from the Morongo Valley Sports League and got information for the insurance company that he uses so that I can have liability insurance to cover for the dates for having the totems put up. We would handle the setup and cleanup of, the items that are put out. And then there are a few ideas for the candy distribution. I'd like it to be near the park. I understand if it can't be on the park, but I did contact the San Bernardino COVID compliance line, and they also connected me with the environmental health services line, and I discussed the plan in mind as far as what the art walk looks like or what that expectation would be with signage and things like that, as well as options for candy distribution. And they said that everything falls within guidelines, so they would have no reason to tell us not to do something like that.
Okay. Board members, what is your feeling about this?
I have a couple of questions, Christina.
Okay.
I just want to know if we do approve this, is the walk going to have people along it to assist the families through and next to the totems? Are they going to have people that are actually working it?
No, it would just be, it's an art walk. So at your leisure, I'd like to leave it up for a couple of days. I figured the Friday, the 30th through November 1st. So that way people, if they want to go at 7 a.m. by themselves and be very, avoiding any potential, crowds or cohorts that might end up going at the same time or anything like that, that they have an opportunity to see the art as well. But it would just be, arrows and signage pointing them where to go. The walk altogether is a very leisure 15-minute walk. And what I did was count out kind of each turn in the trail. And that's where one of the totems could go. And they're about 5 feet tall. So you'd be able to see the next totem coming up around a corner so that you can follow along the trail. I mean, it's a pretty obvious trail once you're back there, but if you don't know that it's back there, you probably not expect to see something like that. So we would definitely have to guide people a little bit with some signage saying, this is the entrance, then follow this arrow, and then you'd be able to see the totems through
Yeah.
all the way up to
The single direction is a good idea. You also said something about cleanup. Do you have a crew of people that's working with you that you can depend on to clean up if people throw trash and stuff?
Oh yeah, it's first and foremost, I would take responsibility for it because this is my idea and something that I wanted to offer the community. But I do have basically the families that are helping create the art pieces are very much interested in making this happen. So they'd be willing to take care of things. I didn't notice any trash receptacles by the baseball field when I was there last time. I don't know if that's because it's been removed over the last few months. I can always bring something like that extra to make sure that people have that available. But yeah, as far as cleanup goes, that was part of the plan. Would Friday setting up, figure, excuse me, I'm talking, midday. Pardon me, 4-year-old. So yes, I could set up trash cans when we're setting up the totems. And then, like I said, I wanted to leave it up for a couple of days so that people have opportunities to go see it without being concerned that there are going to be groups of people there at the same time. But then, yeah, I'd come in and clean up all the totems and any trash along the route. There was one area that I was a little concerned with, and I didn't know if there would be a potential of if we'd be allowed to take out some weeds or if it doesn't technically fall in the park. But the area between the tennis courts and the baseball field, it's not exactly a sidewalk. There's like a dirt edge to the road. I think it would be great if I could clear out some weeding in there so that it is a clear walk from the tennis courts back to the parking lot of the baseball fields. Just for safety's sake, it's not a super busy road to begin with, but it would be better if people could be off the road walking back to their cars versus staying right on the street.
I have a couple questions.
Yeah.
Right now, I've been following Riverside County, and they just went back to tier purple, and they're shutting everything down again. And unfortunately, San Bernardino County has been known to follow within days of doing that. So if there is, if the board does approve tonight and they make a change between the next 10 days, how would you handle that?
Well, the walking trails, as I mentioned before, have been open since June under all tiers and all colors. So there has been no shutdown of walking trails and recreational areas, and that would be the area that we would be using. The parks and that updated announcement from the health department didn't come until September. So that's for the actual like playground equipment, you know, kids going on the slides and the swings and things like that. And this really doesn't involve that part of the park, even though I feel like since they've updated that guidance that we should reopen it to the public. But again, that's under all tiers.
Okay, I'd like to readdress the issue of not having anybody kind of watching. And I don't want to be Debbie Downer, but if you're leaving it up for a few days, there's a high possibility that young teens would go in there and try to destroy it. We have that kind of problem. And in the past, we really haven't found a permanent solution to that. So I just wanted to bring that up to make sure you understand that it's a possibility.
Yeah, and I understand if the property that we put out there, if the totems that were created were unfortunately destroyed, that would just be something that we would have to deal with. I am more than happy to get the liability insurance that was mentioned. Not that this is exactly an event, this is more an art display, and it's not a certain like you need to come Saturday between 1 and 2 to see this. It would just be available if you're interested in going and checking out the art, you can do that. If you want to skip that part completely, you know, you don't have to do that. I know there was some concern or some, you know, curiosities as far as what distributing candy looked like. I thought it would be easier for me to be that person to be set up somewhere at the park so that people know that they're coming to pick up from me. I was going to set that up on a reservation basis. So essentially, as far as how contact tracing works, is people would have to request a candy bag. So they would all be prepackaged per individual kid. And then I would bag, you know, if they have 3 kids in a family, all of those would go in a big family bag. And then I would send that person a reservation time to pick up so that I can make sure, again, I don't have everybody showing up right at 2 o'clock trying to get their candy or something like that. They would get a reservation time to be able to pick that up, and we can do things as far as distancing, or there was a potential of maybe setting something up like a drive-through, maybe near the fire department. I know the lot across the fire department worked great for the trunk or treat. Not that it would be a trunk or treat, but again, I could set out a table so that people can drive up, stay in their cars, give me their name, I can pass them their candy bag, then they can go to the baseball fields park, go ahead and do their walk, and then wrap up and go home. The other component of the whole holiday thing was being able to offer something for people who don't want to be at any level of risk and completely stay home and be able to do like costume contests and send in pictures and try to encourage people not to go out by having that online option in the evening. So I kind of wanted to make it available to everybody in the community and in some level, whatever their comfort level is, whether it's, you know, they want to come pick up a bag of candy for their kids, or if they just want to see the art, or if they just want to participate online and voting for some, you know, scary costumes or something like that.
Hey, Johnny, did you have another? Yeah, go ahead, Johnny.
Chief Breakbill.
The what?
You're
go ahead.
There we go.
Go ahead, Johnny.
Have you contacted SDRMA and find out what our liability would be for this?
Yes, I have.
Oh, both of us have. Good.
Can you give me a report, Chief?
Yes, I can. Anyway, I spoke to the chief up there at SDRMA, and she made it clear that they were not going to cover the district if we were going to go against the state guidelines, and that the district would have to make a decision on whether to get some kind of private insurance to cover that event. And then she went on to explain if it's over in the park where there's areas of bobcats or bears or any other kind of animals that roam at night, and if they attack anybody, that was another concern that she had from a liability standpoint. And basically, she said it was up to the board, but she said that she recommends from a liability that we stick with what the state guidelines are.
So they're not gonna cover us, what you're telling me?
Correct. If there's any kind of event, it would have to go through a private insurance, kind of like what Buddy does.
Right. This isn't necessarily an event though. The walking trail's open or can be opened. So it would just be putting art out on the walking trail for people to go to if they choose.
Okay.
It's not any type of, like I said, event where everyone shows up at 2 o'clock to do things together in a group. It's putting art out on a walking trail.
Yeah, so
I get
Tim,
that.
what
And
is,
that's within the guidelines of the state.
Okay, my concern is very simple. You're talking about doing it from the ball field through the park, so that's county property that we lease. So all the liability falls in Morongo Valley unless we put this on a rental agreement, which we could waive the fee, and you have to provide insurance. Now, I believe the insurance coverage is somewhere around $500,000 to $1 million, because we have to make sure that we are totally covered so that nothing happens to the district if something were to go wrong, someone were to get injured, someone to get sick. I mean, doing it for the kids, I love doing it for the kids. Now, thank you for all your hard work, but we have to make sure that we are covering the district. And
okay,
that's
here, relating
Lori,
to
go
that,
ahead, Lori.
Johnny, my question is, in general terms, if somebody's at the park, using the park, and a bobcat or a bear comes and mauls them, is the district liable? Just, say the park was open and it was a normal, regular day and not even Halloween or anything.
Okay, Lori, we're not getting permission for that. As an open park, if you want to go to the park when it's open, you take your own risk. Now she's asking for the board to give permission to do this. So we're taking on the responsibility, is my concern. When you go to the park, I believe we've had signs up before that when the park is open, it's at your own risk. You're not going there because the board says you can. Now she's asking us to say that she can basically hold an event from Friday through Sunday or Friday through Monday. So we have to ensure that we're not putting liability on the district that could come back and close our fire department. Yeah, that is still the main responsibility of this board, is to ensure that we don't occur liability that could hold damage to this district.
Right. So it sounds like a kind of gray area.
Gail, can you let Maria Pritchard in? She's trying to get in down at the bottom.
So one of the things.
Can you let in Maria Pritchard? She's trying to get in.
Oh, sure.
Close. Thank you. Sorry to interrupt.
So one of the things that Christina Gorky said was that she's looking into getting insurance through Buddy's organization. And couldn't the district be added as additional insured under that policy? And because I'm leaning towards, I'm comfortable with us doing it for a couple of days, but I'm not necessarily comfortable with opening the park yet, because I think we would really need to talk to the county, because we lease the property from the county, a big portion of it, and I think we'd have to get kind of like an agreement with them that they're okay with us opening the park because we're leasing it from them, So yeah. I'm not really quite sure I'm comfortable with opening the whole park, but if she got liability insurance for those 2 days through Buddy's organization and added us as additional insured, then I think I'd be okay, especially since Christina said she passed this by the Environmental Services Department of public health, and that's what I read was like one of the requirements is that you pass it through their environmental health services department. And it sounds like Christina did her homework and she passed it by them already.
Right.
So I don't know if they could get additionally insured, but we would probably ask for, like Johnny was just saying, a pretty large coverage range, you know, in case something did happen.
Christina?
Matthew, do you have anything you want to add to this?
Yeah, all in all, it sounds really wonderful. It sounds really very cool. And again, Christina, I just commend you on the amount of work that you've put into it. And that's really quite admirable. I love seeing the participation of the community involving in these activities. And it really does kind of suck how, you know, COVID has put us in this position. But, you know, part of our fiduciary responsibility is taking care of the Morongo Valley Community Service District and our liability. And if that insurance can be procured with us on the rider and making sure that, you know, you're covered, we're covered, that's my concern, you know, because I would hate for anything to happen to anybody. And since SDRMA has already told us that they wouldn't insure it, that, you know, we definitely need to be sure that we're protected, taking care of, you know, our responsibilities. So
The only other thing I would say with that, what Matthew was talking about is Morongo Valley and San Bernardino County should be listed as part of the rider, because we lease part of that property from them, and they're going to be a part of that property. So we'd have to have them listed also on the insurance besides just ourselves.
That's a
Is
good
San-
point.
Okay, the question that I have I have a couple of things that concern me. Number one, if we set this as a precedent, Buddy himself wanted to rent the park for his wedding, and we said, no, the park is closed. So if we decide for this event, we're going to open the park, does that mean that the next person is going to come along and say, well, you open the park for that event, why can't you open the park for my event? And it seems to me like we might get into a bad position by letting this precedent happen, number one. Number two, I have some of Lori's questions about there not being someone there all the time. So how do you know if people are wearing their masks, if people are social distancing?
You don't.
It's all up to it's all on them. And I understand getting the insurance, but I'm just concerned about that for right now, where we all stand. We actually have done very well with the COVID thing. But the reason we've done so well is because we've practiced what we've been practicing, which is the social distancing, the park being closed, wearing masks, and that kind of stuff. And that's why we're doing so well. And I just wouldn't want to let this be. I know it sounds really great, but the fact that there's going to be nobody there seeing what's happening, that bothers me, because when we have events at the park, like the auxiliary has events, auxiliary members are there and they're watching what people are doing. And I'm just concerned about that.
Right. So
And
I
it's
just
not,
want
and-
to, I was just going to repeat that I understand that you guys made the motion to close the park at the beginning of the year when we were told this was going to be for 2 weeks. And I've seen more people at our park with no signage saying that the park's still closed or it's at your own risk or that you should be wearing a mask or anything like that at this point. And we're still at the level of COVID exposure without there being any signage out right now. With what guidance from the state has put out, it would actually, there's no requirement through the guidance stating that there needs to be a physical person enforcing any of these rules. All of their guidance just requests and recommends, you know, information to post and share with the public, and leaving it to the public to make the final determination of how they're going to act by, you know, those at high risk staying home, those over the age of 65 staying home. That's always first and foremost on all of the guidance that's coming out now. The recommendation for washing hands, covering faces, all of that stuff. None of the guidance actually states there needs to be someone enforcing these policies. It just states that it's recommended you post signage to make sure that the public is aware of what the recommendations are.
I believe the signage is there at your own
It
risk.
is.
Yeah.
There's a sign down there saying it's closed.
And
drive
does
by there.
anybody know, the county of San Bernardino right now? Are we purple or blue or green or red? Do we know?
We still stayed at purple.
My understanding right now is San Bernardino is at red. Riverside has gone to purple, and the county board supervisors are talking about going back to purple. So we're looking at going back up again. Riverside's already gone back to purple.
Okay.
And
I just wanted to throw something out, Gil, that you were talking about,
Yeah.
kind of the trickle down thing, like the slippery slope, whatever.
Yeah.
Well, Christina clearly did her homework in terms of, and I did look at it, the same public health guidelines, that trails are a different situation than having groups of more than 3 family groups together, which a wedding would have more than 3 family groups together. In all likelihood, it wouldn't just be 3 families. And so that puts people at higher risk. But the guidelines do say that trails can be open, and this is kind of what this is being proposed. So
Okay.
I'm feeling more on the more comfortable side, but I would have to see the liability insurance, us and the county named as additionally insured, and have somebody, like maybe our attorney at least, look it over to make sure that we're covered. But I wouldn't entertain opening the park up until we talked to the county, about the rest of it. But the hike, it's just a trail. She's saying it's just a trail, and the trails are covered. They're allowed to be accessed. So that's kind of where I'm standing. I'm standing more on the let's go for it side, as long as the insurance would be applicable and somebody had a chance to look through it. I don't know how much the insurance is going to cost you guys, but
I would have to say, Christina, the work you've done is remarkable. Thank you very much. You've given us a lot of information. We've seen you put a lot of hard work into it. Not being in the office, being a board member, I didn't know we had somebody had to cancel a wedding. I think Gail makes a very good point. If we're starting to set precedent on who can and who can't use city property, county property, that we need to be very careful with that. That could turn into a whole nother can of worms. So I'm agreeing with Gail right now that as much as I would love to see this happen for the kids, it scares the crap out of me, guys. I'm sorry, it really does. Liability, precedents. We're asking for trouble, I believe.
Does anybody else want to weigh in on this before we vote? Sue Lefevre, I see you here. Do you want to say anything? Unmute Sue.
Unmute yourself.
Yes, oh my
There.
gosh, Christina, unbelievable amount of work that you've put into this. And there's nothing I'd like to see more than our kids be able to have a Halloween. And yet, the part of me that understands the responsibilities of a public place is concerning to me. And so I would agree with Johnny and Gail that this is maybe a liability that we as a public place cannot do. So that said, I would like to reach out to the community, and I am sure there is a place we can do this privately.
That's what I was going to say.
There you go. I have a ranch. I know there's other ranches.
Yeah.
I would love to get together and try to do something for our community that would not put us at risk for, our public places for a whole bunch of reasons, and find a place that we could do this for our children and our families locally as a community on private property.
I agree with that because I'm not completely convinced that we could do this without the liability issues.
I think that
But
would be
yeah,
great.
private property is a good idea because it's a wonderful idea and you've done so much work. But it would be the same if we were going to do it, for example, at the school, we'd have to get all kinds of permissions and everything. Probably wouldn't even get the permission.
Sue, would you be willing to work with Christina on this?
Yes, yes, I would.
Okay, okay.
That would be great.
Yeah, I think that would solve a lot of problems. Chief Brakebill, is there anyone else in the audience that wants to speak on this issue?
I would. Yeah, I
Who's
mean,
that?
wouldn't a private person have to have insurance as well to host anything like this? And she mentioned that the trails are already supposed to be opened anyhow.
Well, that's,
Oh, who was speaking, Chief?
that's,
Carla.
Carla
Okay.
is.
Yeah. I mean, if you have a private, if you have this type of a function at a private facility, somebody's house, ranch, whatever, they're liable to be sued as well if a bear attacked them or if they tripped or anything. So you're facing the same problem.
Yes, I understand
Okay.
what you're saying, Carla, but that's on them. That's not on us as the district taking on responsibility and risking public funds. I think that's what we're all looking at here is we only have a limited amount of public funds. Most of that goes towards our fire department. If we were to incur a lawsuit that our insurance company isn't going to cover, what's that going to do to our fire service? A large lawsuit can put us out of business. And that's what the board also has to consider is liability for the overall district. If someone is willing to take this on their home, that's on their homeowner's insurance, that's on their private property. That's the difference than us taking it on as a board for the district.
But what about the trails already being opened? Like that's
well,
but
our trails, our park is closed. And we said we would revisit it every 90 days and we have it on the agenda for tonight in case we felt this was a good idea. But exactly what Johnny said and what Matthew said, we have a fiduciary responsibility of the district to make sure that whatever we do is not jeopardizing our park and our playground. And I understand how people are feeling because of the COVID thing and everything being kind of locked down. However, it's something we all are just going through now, and we just have to go through it and get through it. And I feel that there is another way. And I think Sue, that was wonderful of Sue to say she would work with Christina to find a different place to do it.
Yes.
Is there anybody else that you can, Chief Brakebill, is there anybody else that wanted to speak?
I don't
that you
see
can see?
anybody that has their
Okay.
hand up.
Okay, well, I'm going to call for the question then. The Halloween truck or treat, we've discussed it, and I would like to know who is in favor of having the use of our park for that
As described.
program, as described.
With the liability insurance and our district written in the liability insurance on the county. Is that what you're
Right.
talking about?
Yep.
Including that, yes.
Okay, so
Well,
that is the question.
okay.
So that's your motion?
Yes, the motion is to allow this to happen at the park.
With the insurance provisions.
Are you,
Yes,
Gail, yeah, that's what I needed to clarify. So are you saying
Okay.
that the insurance needs to be procured so that this event can happen, or are you, is the motion to approve it as presented?
Well, Christina presented it with saying she would get insurance. And now it's been written into it. Yes,
She
it's on the
didn't talk
condition.
about, Gail, she didn't talk about additional insured, so we'd have to ask her if she'd be willing to look at that.
Yeah, to name us as one of the
Yeah.
parties.
Us and the
The
county.
county and the district as additional insured, would she be willing to look at that?
Yes.
Okay, so.
And would we then have the time to pass it by our attorney just to make sure?
No, this
Not
is so
really, right?
late.
Yes, that's
This
another
is so
problem.
late.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask
So-
Christina this. When she was looking at the insurance, was she looking at a rider, additional insurance insured for the district and for the county, or just for the event?
I didn't have full details of what I'd need to present to them, so I only had limited opportunity to ask them.
Okay.
What they'd be able to provide.
So is there anyone that wants to put that motion forward? Is there anybody that wants to motion that? I'm not motioning it, I'm just saying what it is. To a,
Well, I tell you what, how about, I hate to be the bad guy here, but I'm going to be the bad guy, and I apologize, but I'm going to make a motion that we reject the request at this time.
there's somebody has some noise going on in the background.
Yeah.
Would you repeat that?
Matthew, you're breaking up.
My,
Would you repeat that?
yes, my motion is that we reject the proposal at this time, considering all of the parameters that discussed, including the liability insurance and the riders for the CSD and the county,
And the
considering
precedent.
lack of time.
Okay, Matthew has made the motion to reject the proposal. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, Matthew and Johnny. Let's have a roll call vote. Mr. Brakebill?
Jim, you're muted.
You're muted, Jim.
There, I'm sorry. Director
That's okay.
Campos,
Aye.
Director Klemmerwitz,
Aye.
Director Tolbert,
Aye.
Director Brook,
Nay.
and Director Swart.
Aye.
Sadly.
Sadly,
Very
but
regrettable.
With regret, yes.
With much regret, I'm sorry. Oh, we can help somebody can step up and do it on a private property.
yeah, Sue, if you could work with Christina, perhaps some other venue can be found that could make it work.
Exactly.
So-
Yes.
So thank you so much for the offer, and I'm sure you will get together with Christina and talk about it with her.
I will.
Thank you so much.
It's just really sad that everything has to be like that, isn't it?
So if you can put this,
Well-
Sue, if you can put this together, let me know. I have no problem donating candy to you. Help you out any way I can.
Ah,
I'd love to.
okay, thank you. Thank you. And Christina, I'll be in touch with you. Let's chat, and I got my thinking cap up. I'm already writing down names.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Christina. There's a lot of
Thank
hard work
you.
you put into this. Thank you very
Yes,
much.
thank you.
Okay, so the Covington Park closure is the next thing on the agenda, and it seems like it doesn't need to take an action right now, that we're just going to let it ride for another month. Is
A
that
month
true?
or 90 days?
Well, we can't keep saying 90 days. We have
Well,
to
Gail,
get to
we
the
can
end of
say-
the
we can-
90 days.
Gail, we can
Go
say
ahead,
90
Johnny.
days, but we can bring it up. We can say 90 days, but we have the right to bring it up anytime. You know, if county
Yeah,
makes some
okay.
changes, we can bring it up, but we put on there at least a minimum of 90 days has to come back. But we have the right
Okay.
to bring it up anytime.
Okay.
Yeah, so we don't have to actually do anything with it right now.
Yeah.
Okay, now, I have one comment that came on the website, I guess, from Carla Harrower. I'm not sure I'm saying her name right, but, and I'll read it to you in a minute here. It's only water, folks. This is what she writes. I have found that according to Transportation Systems Engineering Lecture 31, Channelization, page 10, author Dr. Tom Matthew, February 19th, 2014. Quote, traversable raised curb mediums should always be used with reboundable, reflectorized vertical panels. The areas on Highway 62 where these raised curb medians are located, most of the reflectors are missing, and I am very concerned and fearful that this is going to cause a terrible accident on the highway, especially at night. There are no reflectors at all on the majority of the medians, and it is extremely difficult to see them at night. It is my educated guess that the reflectors have failed somehow to stay in place, maybe due to the extreme heat in our area, causing them to become loose and blow away. I find it curious that there is nothing left where they were installed after they are gone. We need to have the reflectors replaced and figure out why they failed to stay in place. The reflectors were effective, and we should contact Caltrans or the Department of Transportation and make them replace the reflectors on our highway and also reinforce them to make sure they don't disappear again. So when Director of Operations Yearsley gets back, we will get in touch with, I mean, that's not really in our prerogative as CSD. We only take care of the fire department and the park and a few streetlights. However, we have in the past, because of the fire department having to clean up the accidents on the highway, we have contacted Caltrans. So I can assure you that when he gets back from his vacation, that will be one of the first things we'll do, is have him call Caltrans and have them either come out or, try to set something up so they can, maybe they need to use some different kind of reflector. I don't know. But I agree with you, Carla, that it was really great having those up at night and you could see right where the thing was, and now they're all gone and it's kind of a mess. So as far as the CSD is concerned, our Director of Operations will call them when he gets back, and we'll try to set something up.
Yeah.
Lay down.
Go ahead, Carla.
Yeah, I live in the, really close to the grade going up to Yucca. So it's important to me. I'm not in the, little town of Morongo.
Right.
I'm always going up and down this road, and the reflectors made a big difference when they were all up, and they just made this great big barrier, even though we all know a car could go right through them. Visually, they're very they work very well. And I actually was emailing with the guy in charge of the project, and 2 years ago, so I still have his email address, and I'll send him something out. But I just found it. I wondered if you guys thought the same thing. Like, I don't think people were removing them. I think that they were failing. I think that they were melting, and they were just came off and blew away. Not all of them. I think some people did remove some of them.
Right.
So I just think it was faulty to begin with, and I'm going to make that known, when I send an email. So
maybe
Carla,
maybe the Director of Operations can ask why they haven't maintained them.
Yeah. And also I have two other things.
Okay.
So Carla, you're talking about putting the delineators back up, like the sticks of plastic or whatever they were, not just like on the street reflectors. You're talking like the tall ones, right, Carla?
Yeah, the tall ones that are all gone.
Okay, that one. Okay, and then while we're at it, talking to Caltrans, we need to talk to them about the Bella Vista light, because I turn there all the time, and it goes through 2 and 3 sessions of never turning on the arrow. And so I've talked to people in town, and a lot of people are just taking their life into their own hands and turning because they're stuck there. It's like the automatic signal is not recognizing the cars there. And a lot of people who live in this area, Midtown, are like saying, what's wrong with the light? And then eventually you have to go, because you'd be sitting there and you're like a sitting duck in the middle of the highway anyway for 3 times through. You know what I mean? So
Okay, I'll
that's-
pass that
that's
information
failing.
along.
The other
Okay.
thing is, a couple parents at school also asked if Caltrans could be contacted about putting speed bumps in front of the school because people are racing down there. We have the highway patrol that's there every now and again, and they give out tickets every now and again. But we have a family that lives right on the corner, and they hear them slide stop up to that stop sign that's Hess and Pioneer, and practically
I
go
see it.
through that T all the time. And while we're at it, we might as well ask them about the Pinellas and Hess intersection because a bunch of people are getting T-boned through there because there's only stop signs going north and south, not east and west. And so
Right.
people get T-boned in that area. So while we're at it,
I
we
was
might as
one
well
of those
talk to
people that
them
got T-boned.
about, you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
So while we're at it,
Caltrans.
you know, we might as well say we have other concerns of our town. So the Buena Vista light's not working right.
I wrote that
Pinellas
down.
and Hess may need some kind of, at least a four-way stop.
okay,
You know, there, and then talk to them about what it would take. Do we have to sign a petition or something to get speed bumps in front of the school?
All right.
Okay.
This may not be Caltrans though. That may be county.
I don't know who it is, but they might be able to give us advice.
you're right, Matthew. It might be county. That
Yeah,
might be a
think
county
that's-
maintained road.
Yes.
I think by
Okay.
the school is county. I know 62 is Caltrans. Christina Brooks, you can probably tell you the same thing. We went through so many meetings with Caltrans about those delineators, about those raised curb mediums. They promised us a 6-foot reflector one time. We never got either.
No.
Right.
And
Right.
also, by the way,
we
we happen to know that one of our former students was just hit in the crosswalk
Yeah.
in front of the fire station.
Right.
And so perhaps something needs to be done there as well,
Hospitalized.
because it's a very bad crosswalk. There's
no.
hardly anything going
That's-
on there to
that was
warn
at the-
people.
That was at
The fire station
the street
crosswalk.
by the fire.
Yeah, the
I
fire
saw his-
station crosswalk.
Park. Yeah.
Got
So
it.
while we're at it, we might as well ask them about that too.
Yeah, we need to
Okay.
have that turned into one of those emergency flashing things when a pedestrian comes and the
Yeah.
street flashes,
Yeah, good idea.
light flashes.
Right.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, like in Palm Springs, the crosswalks actually light up in a couple places, you know, like on the street. And of course, the other thing is, they might want to put a harder delay on the Pinellas and Highway 62 light, because all the time semi trucks are flying through there and people get hit at the Pinellas and 62 light because it just goes from red to green, like boom, and people don't slow down. And
Yep,
there's
I've
been
seen
plenty
that
of
many
times that we've almost been hit.
I've been almost hit there twice myself with a truck that just couldn't stop.
That's right.
I
So
was
maybe
actually
they
hit
need
there
to
once.
delay that light a little bit so that everybody's
Well-
really stopped.
Well, it looks like we need to have some kind of a powwow with Caltrans and perhaps the county
Yeah.
on the roads again. And just in case you're interested, the last time they replaced the delineators, that cost $200,000. Just so you know what we're talking about in money wise.
So for
Just to
the
put the
plastic?
delineators up
Yeah.
from the top
Well,
of the
maybe
grid.
they should, maybe, you know, I mean, the one thing that's worth bringing up, the cost that they put, you know, instead of just gluing them down, they might want to put some rivets
Right.
or something, you know, to make them stay.
Those bots dots, the bots dots that are down the middle of the highway, they're glued in.
Right.
Those are epoxied in. Yes, they're not screwed in or anything like that. They're just epoxied in. But whatever they used on the delineators, they did not obviously use the same epoxy.
Right.
And Gail, are you
It's a
saying that
failure.
the sticks
For
themselves
$200,000.
200,000, or are you talking about the Meridian? I think the Meridian was even more.
No, oh my gosh, the
Meridian
Meridian
was over
cost
500.
over $1 million.
Yeah,
A million
way
for
over.
the Meridian.
Just only to put in the delineators, it was $200,000.
I
Wow.
thought the
If you
Meridian
look
was
at the
supposed to
top of the
be-
grade of Yucca Valley, the way that they did the dividers, the center divider of going up the grade, that's a win-win if we could get that through the whole valley, but
Those-
no, I
those
know they're
grants-
not gonna do that, so I'll take the delineators and, use some Scotch tape, do something to get it down better than what they had.
Is there
those grants per
anyone
meeting is
else
over
that
two-
has,
Over 2 million.
is there anyone else that has a comment? Is there anybody in the online, Chief Brakebill that would like to speak?
Well,
I
have
see
a
Donna
question,
Yerman is here.
and I have a question
ahead.
of Chief Brakebill, actually. I think we could say to Caltrans, statistically, it has been a great idea and it worked really great because I believe we can say that we have had a reduction in head-on collisions on
Absolutely.
Highway 62.
have.
Would
Yeah,
that be
great
right, Chief
reduction.
Brakebill?
Yes. We can do that. And Gail, I have, the iPhone has their hand up as well.
Oh, okay. Whoever that is, come on in.
Hi, it's Bobby Talbert. Just,
hi.
I remember sitting in several of the Caltrans meetings, and they originally were going to do the concrete wall that is down the Yucca grade all the way through Morongo town. And several people came to that meeting and complained that that would divide the town. I do remember several people also at the meeting saying that there's no bigger division in our town than Highway 62. With that said, they had allocated the money to do the larger concrete, and for whatever reason, they ended up pulling that money and putting it somewhere else. And then when we got a sheriff that had been in Sacramento came down here and said we were having more accident deaths on this highway than he saw in Compton, that something needed to be done. And they allocated the money to do the raised medium and the delineators at that time. And it wasn't anything other than our fire department pushing for it, the sheriff's department pushing for it, and the town said that they were willing to at least do the raised mediums. And, we do need to think about that. There's too many accidents on this highway. People think that this road is a raceway. They go 80 miles an hour all the time, and we're only 50 miles in town, and they're going 30 miles over the speed limit. That's reckless driving.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thanks, Bobby.
And
Anyone
also,
else?
Gail, maybe we could ask them about, how up in Yucca, they have that flashing sign that shows you how fast you're going.
Yes.
Yeah.
Maybe they could put one of those in, at that place where it says 50, like slow down
Yeah.
to 50. Maybe they could put a flashing light there with your actual speed.
And a speed bump.
But it
I
would
don't
be
know about
nice to
that.
know how fast people are flying through there. And if you put a number and it says flash, flash, slow down, I think it's kind of effective, the one in Yucca.
It'd be even better if it had a camera.
Yeah.
Well, we will for sure get Caltrans and the county too, maybe to come out or to have a Zoom meeting where we can
Okay.
all talk to them. Donna Yerman, are you still on? Do you have anything you want to say? I guess not. Can you unmute Donna Yerman? I see she's here. I just wondered if she had anything she wanted to add.
Get this. I think.
Hi, Donna.
Hi.
Hi. Is there anything you'd like to add?
I would just like to say that I'm sitting here and my heart is so full that you guys are putting in the time and the energy and the thought and I just so appreciate it. And I think that I see us growing up, I see us moving into a next step. So thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Thank
I'm
you.
sure that's from all of us. Okay. Now we're going to have the individual director reports. Director Campos, do you have anything you'd like to say?
Ooh, well, a lot of things have been going on, and but again, I am again just so very thankful and grateful for our men and women that work at the CSD office and the fire department. I know while those fires were going on, these guys were putting in some long hours, long days.
Yep.
And I never heard really any complaining from anybody. I mean, they were all very excited to do their utmost, and
Right.
and we got tremendous service from them. You know, we've had some strong issues that had arisen. I mean, it's some incidents, you know, cabins burning and things like that. But you know, these guys just did a tremendous job, and the support from um, Brush Engine 461 when they had to come down, and everybody else that responded. You know, the cooperation is just really tremendous, and these guys did a superb job. And again, you know, I'm just so very thankful and grateful for each and every one of them. They do a tremendous job, and we are very thankful and lucky to have the fire department, the service that we have. So, you know, I just need to express my thanks to that. I can't push the census anymore. I think it's over. But hopefully,
Yeah.
hopefully we had a really good turnout of people being counted in the Morongo Valley. You know, I know we don't have any stills. Well, maybe we don't have any stills. I shouldn't say I don't know, but I hope that even the still operators took the time to be counted on the census. We need
Right.
and the election is happening. So again, to all of the candidates that are running, my hat's off to you. Congratulations, and the best of luck to you all.
Thank you, Matthew. Director Tolbert.
As always, thank you to the men and women of the Morongo Valley Fire Department. All of us that are active 911, I'm sure we've seen some of the calls coming in at 1:30, 2:30, 4:30 in the morning, and yet haven't heard a complaint one. They're up, they're out there taking care of business. So every member of the fire department, thank you very much. The district staff has been keeping all information coming to the board, coming to the district, coming to the town, getting it out very quickly. Superb work. Thank you very much. It's great work down there. My fellow board members, good meeting. We had a lot to discuss. Wasn't no argument. We got it done. We got business taken care of. I think it was a good meeting tonight. And as Matthew said, everybody vote. You need to get your vote out, get your voice heard. We got a lot of things on the ballot this year. That's all I have.
Christina, Brooke.
I just wanted to thank Carla, if she's still here, for bringing the highway to our attention, because we're all
Hey there,
kind of-
Christina, I'm here. Thank you.
Thank you, Carla. And I want to thank Christina Gorky again for doing all the research that she did, and for Sue being willing to help her figure out a way that the kids could have a little bit of extra fun. And I want to thank the fire department personnel for helping our friend, our former student, who was hit in the crosswalk, and he's in the hospital recovering. So that's good, because in my family, my 10-year-old niece, her classmate who was 10 and an 8-year-old brother were killed in a crosswalk recently by a famous person out in Westlake Village. But so we know how dangerous crosswalks are. And so I'm really thankful that our friend is still with us, and that our fire department gave such good service for him when he was injured. And we appreciate that. And so we're looking forward to the upcoming holidays. Everybody stay safe, keep social distancing. I think we have to remind ourselves to not get complacent,
Right.
and that kind of thing. But thank you for everybody, and we look forward to having a safe holiday season.
Thank you, Christina. Lori.
Wow. Wow. Everything she said. God bless the fire department, guys. I'm just amazed at what this town and our area has gone through lately. And yeah, God bless everybody in town. I'm serious though. I'm not. If you know me, I have that weird sense of humor. I want to get a speed bump that will automatically raise, and it has spikes on it. Automatically raise if you're going over the speed limits. Oh, I know it's a joke, but it's not really. The reality is we do need to do something about it. But thank you to all of you. I do feel it was productive. I'm sad that we're still struggling with what we're going to try to do for the kids at Halloween, but I hope, and Sue, you can call me too. I'll help out. If you guys can find a venue, I'll help out. Okay.
I will. Thank you.
Thank you and blessings to everybody.
Thanks, Lori. Everything that Matthew and Johnny and Christina and Lori said goes double for me. I appreciate all of them and their hard work that they put in. And I really do appreciate what Christina Gorky did, is trying to do for the kids. And it was really a hard decision to make, but
yeah,
you know, this is a huge, I mean, this is almost like being at war, having the COVID thing, because everything has gotten changed and shut down. And I think the only way we're going to get through it is if we all stay very vigilant. I think the reason maybe that we haven't had so many cases in Morongo Valley is because people are playing by the rules, and we're all, actually a lot of our houses are so distanced from each other, that's a benefit in a way. But I just want to thank everybody for all that they're doing. And I certainly, Sue, I'll be happy to help also. Just let me know what you might need for this event. And just everybody stay safe, and please everybody vote. If you haven't voted yet, go out there and vote. And we'll see you next month. Thank you all so much. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you all for being with us tonight. We'll see you next month.
Everybody.
Bye.
Thank you, everybody. Have a good night. Bye now.
Bye.